In the last video, we added a button and we made sure we put an ID on it. And in fact, I have button selected, so we added an ID and then we utilized the string resource file to access some text to put on that button. But then in the process, we also now have this ugly red icon, so obviously we have a problem going on. So if I put my cursor over that particular explanation point, red dot, it says missing constraints in constraint layout, click the badge for detail. So I'm going to click the badge, which is this icon, for detail. And it says this view, so this button, is not constrained. It only has design time positions, so it will jump to 0, 0 at runtime unless you add the constraints. So I think this is a good time to talk about the emulator, and then we will resolve that particular problem. So what it's trying to tell you, well, let's just run it. Let's just talk about the emulator first of all. So two ways that we can get to the emulator. So I'm going to go to Tools, and I'm going to look for, we have Device Manager, SDK Manager, or we can come over here to this toolbar up here, and we have the same thing, Device Manager and SDK Manager. So let's be clear that the SDK Manager is exactly that. It's giving us the ability to download into our local machine a different, it's looking for updates, so this is going to take a few minutes. I'm going to put this on pause. Well, I can talk in the meantime. Okay, that took a while. So these are all of the different SDKs that are available, but on my machine at the moment, I only have these two selected, or these two downloaded. Obviously installed, not installed. So if you want to have a different, in fact, I don't have 7.0 installed. So if you want a different SDK to target or to run, then obviously you select it, apply, and it's going to ask you for, are you sure that's what you want to do? Yes. And then you run through the install. So I'm going to put this on pause and I will be back. All right, well, I decided not to wait for that install because I need to get these videos done in time for you guys to have access to them. So I'm just going to click on OK, and I didn't install it, so that's okay. So cancel. But you guys know how to do that. We did it in class. All right, so let's look at our Device Manager. So by clicking on the button, there we go. It's just running really slow. Okay, so this is the device I currently have installed. And so if you need to, well, let's just create a device so you see how it works. So we're going to create a device. And you can obviously choose the different devices. Now, I would suggest for your different phones, especially if your machine is having trouble, to choose a device that has very low resolution, because otherwise you're just taxing your system a little bit more than you might be able to. So choosing a lower resolution is a good plan. So anyway, so you choose one. I think, which one do I already have installed? I have the Nexus S. So for the demonstration then, I'll choose the Nexus 1. And so then you're going to select, what we're doing is we're choosing a configuration for our emulator. So not only do we have to choose the phone, but then we're going to have to choose what release is going to be on that phone. So if you need to, I have this one downloaded. So if you, I'm going to select NuGet. So if you need to download one, obviously that's the download button, but I'm going to use NuGet for this particular configuration. So I click on next. And so you can see it gives you a default name, which you can change if you want, but I think it makes sense, so I'm going to leave mine as is. So this is a Nexus 1 phone that's targeting API level 25. And so I'm going to keep that as the name, and so then I can click Finish. All right, so once that finishes, then you have a different device that you can choose to target for your emulator. And so I know this is going to take a while, so I'm going to put this on pause after I get started on this. But so here you have at the top here, you have your ability to which emulator do I want to run? Which configuration am I going to run? The one that I just created. Now you can see why those names are meaningful, just to kind of leave them with the default. So then when you are ready, you hit your run button, And the important part to pay attention to is, as soon as I'll get it started, I know it's going to take a while, but watch down here. So this is letting you know its progress, this little progress bar down here at the bottom. And sometimes it feels like it's taking forever for the emulator to run, and it does. It takes a long time for it to get started. And you might think that it didn't work. Well, pay attention to your little your progress bar down here so that you'll know when it's, see it like it says, oh, no devices are running yet, but it's still executing the tasks. So I have to be patient and wait for everything to do its thing. See, it still says Gradle build running. So be patient, it takes a while, and I'm putting the video on pause. I'll be right back. All right, so once the emulator comes up, you can see what happened to our button. Because it wasn't constrained, and this is what this error message is trying to tell us, because it wasn't constrained, it popped itself up to the top left-hand corner here, rather than stayed in the confines that I had, or where I placed it here on the activity. And so that's what this error message is trying to let us know, that we need to constrain our button. So in the next video, we will figure out how to make that part happen. But this was to demonstrate the error message and the fact that if you don't constrain it, even though it looks good in our design view, it's going to automatically put itself up into the top left-hand corner unless we add the constraints, which we'll do next.